Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Gabba Jam, episode 72.
Yeah. All right, what's going on? What's on the docket today?
What is probably foremost on the minds of quite a few of our DIY rock stars is how they can go about making money, making music business.
So what do you mean by that? So are you saying that you're scratching out like musicians can get lessons?
No, that's fine because at least you are making music because you have to make music in order to show people. I didn't say original music. That was the thing that has not.
Yeah, but sometimes it's sort of like people feel like, okay, if I'm just doing skills, blah blah blah, they don't feel like that's making music per se, you know, because you could be, you know, teaching theory, you could be doing so many aspects
of teaching music. That's true.
Music. Yeah,
that's true.
And people have different interests with respect to even musicians. You know, you'll find that even musicians who might be songwriters, maybe people who love to go down the theory rabbit hole, you know, and so
they might actually enjoy that.
They enjoy that, and to the extent that you have that knowledge, and you know, people are hungry for that knowledge. So there are ways to go about doing that, and sometimes maybe we get stuck on doing things just through something like YouTube, you know. But you know, maybe you could go to your local guitar center or local music shop, and maybe become like a teacher there and work for them, and not necessarily doing them on YouTube. I mean, the YouTube thing is always available, you know, and that is one way to go about doing it. But that is one thing you can do. So you could, if you want, you can say, hey, look, I want to teach in whatever it is that you know. I mean, you know, it's like we were watching a documentary the other day on B.B. King, you know, and it, you know, in the 80s, B.B. King teamed up with U2, and they did this song called When Love Comes to Town. And U2 wrote the song. And they were talking to B.B. King, and they were saying, okay, these are the chords. And B.B. King was kind of like, I don't do chords. That's not where I wrote. But people wanted to know what it is that B.B. King does. He's a specialist. He's a solo blues specialist who can get, you know, so much out of just one note. And so teaching that skill, you know, and so it could,
he has a musical voice.
But then some people want your voice, and they want to understand how you do what you do.
Yeah, that's true.
And so understanding the uniqueness and value and what it is that you do also is another way to make money doing music.
Yeah, and I kind of did add that in there because when you were talking about lessons, I also put like online courses and even things like how to promote a band, if that's something that you want to be able to do to be able to make money making music. Right. And if someone else knows how to do that, that might actually be, you know, a way that, hey, it's not taking anything from me and it's only... you know, selling the thing that I already know how to do, and it's not, you know, it's not necessarily musical, but it's related.
But the thing I always get, you know, the thing I don't want to see happen is that right now online is the popping thing. Everybody wants to be online. Everybody wants to do stuff online. Everybody wants to make money online. And I'm saying that there are few that are going to make like tons of money online.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I'm not saying that there aren't some that are in between, whatever else. But I think sometimes if you get tunnel vision with respect to just thinking about things online, you may lose focus or you may miss out on opportunities that might be right around you.
Yeah, that's
you know,
true.
Right within your local area of
true.
People who are hungry and want something from a live connection with you.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, maybe it's a Skype connection with you, but I'm just saying, but it might be something outside of maybe the traditional YouTube type experience. And so I think that more than anything is, as we go through this thing, is that you just gotta think creatively what you're doing, and keep in mind that the sky's the limit. It's up to you. It's up to you what you want to do, what is worth it for you to do, and then to say, okay, kind of based on that, I can do these other things.
I was about to say, because actually one way that you can combine the two of those, that if you wanted to throw it out there in the interwebs and also do the live thing, is that if you perform live, if you're doing open mics, for the tips or for the house money, or if you're doing busking where you're out with a cup, you're earning money while you're playing music, but you can have somebody recording it at the same time. So you could
doing your live performance thing, and again, and who knows what might happen even in busking. Somebody might say, well, do you give lessons?
Right, yeah.
And that might give like another way of doing stuff. So like you said, busking, they're piano players, or even guitar players who might, if you know standards.
That's what I had down there was the dinner musician, because we've been to quite a few places where we've seen people just at the, I know a lot of times people are piping in music or they have the automatic piano, but it seems like things might be going back toward having an actual real musician playing.
Yeah.
And we know one of our buddies makes his living doing that.
Right.
But also where we've been for dinner lately, a lot of times they will actually have a live musician playing, and so they make their money making music.
Yeah, that's true.
Or even wedding bands. I mean, I know that for some people that may not be their vision of making money making music, but I'm sure it beats punching a time clock at GM on the factory floor.
Right, and I think that there's a whole controversy. I mean, because there's also church musicians, and I think there's a thing within the church whether or not people feel like musicians should be paid or not be paid. I mean, I'm one of the people who do feel like musicians should be paid for what they do. But yeah, if you're at a church that is willing to pay the musicians, that's yet another way of doing it. I mean, sometimes I know, depending on the type of church, they might just pay like the keyboard player and might not look to pay any other ancillary musicians that they have. But depending on how seriously they take their music ministry, they may also pay too. And then another thing is that if you're a person who likes doing sound or studio stuff, right now it's really easy to kind of set up a studio and record people.
Yeah.
That's the thing that you can do. Or again, going back to being a sound man for a church and a sound man for community organizations. All other types of ways you can get out there, give you a chance to be around music. And sometimes I know for me, I'm a person who engineers music or whatever, not by choice, but because I have to.
A reluctant techie, right?
Yeah, I don't want to do it.
Right.
So,
but you need things done. I get it.
Right. I mean,
things need to be done. Right. Yeah.
So
of course, the top of the list for us is Synch Licensing. I mean, we, recently got the deal where they're playing the songs in stores. So just the fact that you can take music that you've already created that is original.
Right.
And they even sometimes cover tunes. A lot of times they're looking for a cheaper way.
Yeah.
Instead of paying for the rights for the original, a lot of times they'll ask for covers.
Right.
And so it's another way, again, of taking music. I know for us with licensing, we're writing original music as well, but a lot of times we take the things we've already written.
Right.
That's no sweat.
And that's the thing too. I mean, because I think even for us, we can hustle that even more than what we're doing. And so it's a hustle. I mean, it is something that you kind of have to get out there and you got to beat the pavement and you got to, try to make things happen for it. Because there's a lot out there. There are a lot of people doing it. But don't always look at what other people are doing as your direct competition. Sometimes if you do have something unique that you're doing, there's not going to really be direct competition for it. As much as what you're looking for is just trying to land with the right person. And when you land your stuff with the right person, it's almost like meeting the right person to marry or be in a relationship with, because it's sort of like they'll know that what you're doing, the signature of what you're doing, fits the signature of what they're doing. And that connection is what you're looking for.
Right.
And in that way, you don't never have to sweat competition. And that's why I think that sometimes it's good to even tell other people about things. Like, there might be an opportunity that might not be good for you. Share it with other people.
Yeah, actually, that when I was learning more about TV production and things like that, they were saying that writers most of the time get jobs based on the fact that somebody gets a job and they can't take it at the time, they have too much going on.
Right.
And that if they know that you do it, especially if you're fledgling and
Right.
whatever else, that they'll throw you a bone just with that. So a lot of people get started that way. So
Right.
that goes back to that kind of real world networking.
Right.
That maybe if you met someone at something,
Right.
and you made that connection and they have your contact information,
Right.
that they're a lot more likely to pass it on for a job,
Right.
than if they just saw you online. So.
Right, and then I see another thing that you got there, and we're kind of skipping around, but you can like book a tour for your band,
Yeah,
something like that. Do that kind of. But I know sometimes, depending on where you are, if you have a day job, practically doing a tour or something like that may not be something that works out for you.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it would be more of a weekend type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe you just try to just book around locally. Those may be helpful for that.
Mm-hmm.
Just simply because you start to get your own calling card.
Mm-hmm.
So to the extent that there, you do get clubs that like what you do
Mm-hmm.
or what you do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that then gets you something where you get a fan base that only can get what you do from you.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that sense, again, you don't have to worry about competition because it's about what you do.
Yeah.
And
And there are tons of festivals.
Right.
Like I know in our city, in Detroit, there's a revitalization going on. So there is music like every weekend at almost every major venue downtown, or even
Right.
places that makeshift places that will pop up.
Yeah.
And they'll have music like every weekend or lunch, and it just now this wasn't that way years ago.
Right. Yeah.
So there are opportunities, and we see like the call for musicians where years ago, it was real closed in, and you think they probably hire people they know.
Right.
Whereas now they're actually opening the doors and saying, hey, if you want to come be on the list, send this in. And so that's opportunities.
So I think it's just good to just keep an open mind.
Yeah.
I mean, more than anything else, if you just keep an open mind with respect to your ability to do things, and stay to a point where you're saying, hey, I'm willing to always stay cutting edge. I think that you will be available for opportunities when they come knocking. I mean, another thing that we didn't really touch on was like making beats for people.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Especially in the hip hop realm, if that's something that you do.
Now that seems to be really popular. People are doing it.
Well, I mean, if you think about the Lil Nas X thing, I mean, he bought his beat from somebody else.
Yeah.
And then after a while, that guy I think got in on producing, his record when it came out. I mean, again, that's at the upper echelon of things. But there are people who will buy beats. Yeah. And so, who are, rappers who are looking for beats. And you would think maybe in this day and time that, hey, it's so easy to kind of grab loops and do stuff like that. But still, again, I think once you kind of put your unique stamp on something, and you find an audience that like what you like, like what you do, then I think at that point in time the sky becomes the limit. So
yeah, because I noticed it's taking a slight detour, but it supports that point. It's the same thing with photographers. Yes, selfies. The cameras are better on your phones, and you can do all this different stuff, and you can automate it and do this and do that. We're still about to pay a photographer to take our next set of branding shots. So there's still opportunities for photographers. People say, oh, well, people don't do that anymore. Yeah. And then the way we found her is I saw her work and I just liked her style. Right. So again, that goes back to special flavor. Yeah. That seems like she's bringing. Yeah, you got your own flavor. And we're curious to see what she's gonna do for us. So.
Right. I mean, because again, a photographer who kind of has ideas. I mean, if you're not thinking in those terms, you might be very linear in the way that you think about, taking pictures and what you can do, and you just limit it to what's on the phone. And even with what's on the phone, when to use it, how to use it, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Everybody's just not good at trying to figure those things out. Yeah. And so that's where, you having a special, voice, eye, whatever it might be. That's where that comes into play. Yeah. But don't underplay yourself. I think that's the main thing, is don't underestimate you. If you don't underestimate yourself, then the sky's the limit. Yeah. If you underestimate yourself, then the limit is going to be the estimation that you put on yourself. Right. That's going to be what your limit is. So if you feel like I can't do it, I'm not going to, you won't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's you've already consigned yourself that that's where you're going to be, and so you won't push yourself to limits that you need to be pushed to.
Yeah,
so,
I like that.
So that to me is the ultimate secret to making money.
Making money, making music. So if you like the vibe, be sure to
subscribe.
And as always, we're wishing you love, peace, and
chicken grease.